Welcome back to Leading Edge. You know that gentleman. He is the mayor of the city of Toledo, Wade Kapszukiewicz, now into his second term, just delivered his State of the City address, and we're kind of breaking it down with his help today. Any fair description, Mayor, of the city must recognize the brutal and senseless violence that sees infants' lives just blown away. How about while being innocent passengers in cars at the age of 7 months old? The director of your anti-violence program bolts after alluding to, well, first you saw him on the show. I know you guys watched. He believes in the program. He believes in the approach, was proud of what they did. But he did say, hey, there were times that people who wanted to be part of the solution, he would point out, but wanted to do so on their term, on their timetables. And I just got to ask, do we even have an answer? And it's got to be more than, well, Jerry, it's happening everywhere.
I think there are a lot of parts to the answer. We are growing the size of the police force. That's part of what I emphasized in our speech last night. And end of 2026, we'll have more police on the streets than any time in the last 20 years. Our police department has engaged this year in some what they call the team model of policing. These are very targeted operations that do a deep dive into a neighborhood over about a 10-day or 2-week period that, yes, makes arrests, but also eliminate blight and abandoned cars. And they've been intense and they've been successful. We just announced the results of one that concluded a week ago today in East Toledo. Hundreds of people have been arrested, and I think that's positive. That is one of the reasons why, and let me finish the statement because it won't ring true. That's one of the reasons why our numbers this year overall are better. Burglaries are down, and yes, robberies are down, and yes, homicides are down. Now, listen, homicides may be down, maybe lower than they were this time last year, and that's true. But that does not mean that what is happening over the last 3 weeks is acceptable. It's just not. One of the things that's happening, though, is that in every one of these cases, every single case, the target of the violence was known by the shooter. This isn't random. This is retaliation. Now, sometimes, unfortunately, the shooter misses the target and heartbreakingly kills a 7-month-old. But what we're talking about here is retaliation, and it does govern what our response should be. So yes, part of it is an enforcement question, policing after the fact, and we are increasing our numbers in a way that hasn't happened in 20 years. But there's also an intervention and a prevention piece that's actually bigger and more important. That speaks to the Save Our Community model. And if I announced anything last night that should have been newsworthy, it is that model. And you had Joanna on your show and the violence interrupters. We are moving that out of City Hall into a private entity, a community partner, a partnership that has resources of its own that can bring that part of the puzzle closer to the neighborhoods, closer to the people. That's how this needs to work. It's always been our intent. We're finally ready to do that. So you bet the city has a role. We all have a role. Every time something bad happens, you can crane your head and look toward City Hall if you want. You should also look toward the mirror, because while I have a role as mayor, so does the coach, so does mom, so does dad, so does the mentor, so does the teacher, so does the pastor. We all have to be a part of this. And while our numbers are better this year than they were last year, it's not good enough. We cannot tolerate what we've seen these last 3 weeks.
I got about a minute. I'm so sorry, but you want to invest in the airport. There are cries out there, and you know where they're coming from, to wrest control of the airport away from the Port Authority. Should we do that, Mayor? Are you comfortable in investing in the Eugene Krantz Express Airport under the current management arrangement? Do that in about 45 seconds.
Well, right now, we're not even competing for the dollars that we need to have the kind of airport we need. One of the things I announced yesterday is we're bringing on a person named Michael Beasley to lead a regional effort to make sure we are bringing the dollars into this region for rail and for the airport that right now we're leaving on the table. The governance of the airport is a live question. There have been some studies and reports done recently that shed some light onto that. If we are going to take the next step on governance and think about a different governance model, The Lucas County Commissioners, under our form of government, would have to take the next step. If we're going to move away from where the Port Authority operates it to where an independent airport authority would operate it, the county commissioners would have to take that step. It's not something the city can do. But there are folks who are asking those questions because right now, I don't know that we're maximizing the potential of our airport. So yeah, we got to go get the money, but governance could be a part of it too. And in that conversation, we need to look toward the county commissioners, who sort of would be the next domino that would have to fall.
He is the mayor of the city of Toledo, Wade Kapszukiewicz, just delivered his State of the City address and joined us to kind of flesh it out for us. Thank you for the deeper dive. Always good to chat with you. Continued success down there at City Hall, Mayor.
All right. Thank you very much.
And we'll be back as we celebrate National Police Week on Leading Edge.